Okay, so I'm usually not a fan of making trades early in the season, but I kind of need to clear some budget room for next year. I mean, I have a ton of room, but Bailey Ober has struggled in two starts, but that's not the reason I'm trading him, really. Uh, the reason is his arbitration estimate is 6.3 million, which I probably won't be paying him regardless. And I got this very interesting offer from the Sox. This guy Noah Dean, who they're trying out as a starter. I don't even know why they're bothering. I mean, I guess he's been fine as a starter, but oh my god, what a reliever this guy could be with the fastball, curveball, forkball, and changeup. 35 stamina, so multi-inning guy, and they want to give him to me for Bailey Ober, which I kind of get. Like Ober's a good starter, but Noah Dean, that I'm not even gonna bother with the starter thing. He's going right in the back end of my bullpen. Um, so yeah, this mostly clears up budget space for next year, so I can make a negotiation happen, I should say. So there we go. Noah Dean traded to the Twins, so he'll be added to my active roster. And I think I'm going to throw Connor Phillips into the rotation for now, and he should be good to go. So yeah, our bullpen just got way better. I'm just going to put Dean in the seventh inning just to have some guys in the middle relief. Huang is up currently, mostly just as a long guy, but he could also play a role in the rotation at some point. But yeah, the thing that I wanted to do was Adrian Palencia, who has emerged as one of the top players in baseball, according to the ratings, and he's been heating up recently. He got off to a really bad start, but you see the last two games, he's been killing it. He's willing to do a long-term negotiation, and I think I want to do one with him. So probably not today, but at some point this season, I would like to, buy out a couple of these free agent years, maybe 3 free agent years. But we'll see. I like how in this year's version it tells you what years you're buying out, so you don't have to just guess. Yeah, so let's. That was just a little trade I wanted to do to introduce that idea into the game. So yeah, we'll be back.
Okay, so it is deadline day here in 2026, and the team is 65-38. We got off to an excellent start, and it's kind of maintained itself throughout the year. So in April we were 17-8, May 16-11, June 17-10, and so far in July 15-9. So you check the standings, and it's actually a much more competitive AL this year. You have the Angels just a couple games behind us, and then the Yankees 4 games back of us as well. So the AL looks much more competitive. The Braves still dominating the NL. I'm pretty sure they've done that for a couple of years now. And then the Dodgers, Rockies of all teams. And so the team is. I'm at the deadline, and I don't even know if I can improve this team anyway. So let's take a look at how everyone's doing. I'll start by WAR. So actually, let's start off with the first big business. I alluded to Palencia getting an extension, and we paid him. So pretty massive deal. It's 12 years, $282 million, and so he'll make $5 million the next couple of years, 18 to 22, 22, and then 30 through the next couple of years. He has an opt out at age 30. It's possible he takes that, but it's a 12-year deal for our young, this dude's a generational talent, and he's hit insanely well this year. So I don't really have any concerns about him long term. And this contract works out for us because Correa stops making big money after 2028, which is the year that Palencia will be making $5 million. And then he jumps up to 18. Correa drops down 5, and then he's making 15. And if we pick up that team option, 10. And right there, boom, Palencia's 30 kicks in that last season. We really have no money on the books at that point. Some younger guys, but who knows about that? So yeah, this contract works for us really. So and hopefully our budget will increase at that point. And I mean, it was between him and DeMartini, but I think Palencia's defense kind of gave him the edge on DeMartini. Although I'd love to lock him up as well. he's hit fairly well when he's been up. It's been a little up and down, not really as good as I expected, but he's been solid for us, so no concerns there. But if I go to offer him an extension, he wasn't really looking for it. Palencia was, I believe, so that made it easier to pull that. So let's go through the lineup. We'll sort by WAR. Byron Buxton having a huge season, on pace for 6.2 WAR, 118 WRC plus, playing an excellent center field. After he was good last year too, but 2024 wasn't quite as good. And yes, he's been great. Correa been really solid for us. His defense has declined a bit, so maybe a move to third base will be in his future. But so far, so good. 126 WRC plus. Palencia, we kind of mentioned, on pace for 5 WAR, 13% walk rate and 10% or 20% strikeout rate, which I think could even improve at this point. 163 WRC plus. In just 77 games, he was hurt for a little bit. And then Emmanuel Rodriguez, who kind of broke out in the playoffs last year, he's continued to hit well, 117 WRC plus, and playing an excellent left field, I may say. 7.7 zone rating at this point, on pace for about 4.5 WAR. David Calabrese, who was kind of, we acquired him in this kind of throwaway trade, I guess you might call it, like Louis Varland, who was kind of spare parts, Cole Sands, and Austin Schulfer. Although Schulfer has pitched really well, it looks like, so that's good for them. These guys weren't going to really crack my roster, I don't think. And, they have pitched well. All of them have. And it's not surprising to me. But we also got Aurel Vera in this trade, who down in AAA right now. But Calabrese, onto the topic at hand, 10% walk rate, 20% strikeout rate, 25 steals, on pace for about 4 WAR. And he's pretty much only playing against righties. He has played a bit against lefties, but he's crushed, and he's been fantastic for us. Only 23 years old, and he also has played a very solid right field, so no concerns with him. And I think that trade worked out for both teams because we got rid of some spare parts, and they got some good players, and we got a right fielder and a shortstop prospect as well. Brooks Lee has primarily played second and third. He was playing second while Palencia was out. And he's continued to hit really well. Not quite as good as his rookie year where he really broke out. Still on pace for a 3 WAR season. Matt Wallner he was a lot better. He was really raking at the beginning of the year. It's kind of cooled off, but still 122 WRC plus from him, on pace for 30 bombs as he's done, pretty much ever since he's been up here. And on pace for about 2 WAR. So good on him. DeMartini, we kind of mentioned, playing really well in his first taste of action. Shoemake has been kind of relegated to the bench at this point, but still playing quite a bit. His bat has fallen off a bit, and, he's still stealing bases, playing great defense. So I'm cool with him. This is another trade we made. I don't know if I went over this last video, but no, I don't think I did. He's played 17 games for us, but we traded him for. We got him and had the Padres retain 90% of his deal, which goes on for the rest of this year and next year. And we gave up a pretty good haul for him. So we gave up Tanner Schobel, who is a really nice player. He was WRC plus in 142 for me in the minors, but I have so many guys like this who are like not really shortstops, middle infielders, but can't play third. So really just second baseman. And he was a good player, but I was cool giving him up. We finally pulled the plug on Daniel Bellion, who that trade is not looking great at the moment. Although we got Connor Phillips, so that was cool. And Lyden Richardson's kind of, fizzled out, but Royce Lewis has played well in L.A., in Cincinnati. And a couple other players who really haven't done much, it looks like. But, yeah, that trade didn't work out. His defense declined. His hitting was always, pretty horrendous. And maybe he can turn around in San Diego. But Danny Jansen, he's hit well for us, and I was cool with giving him up. We also gave Tu Sui Kwan, who we signed as a minor league free agent a couple years ago. Jose Salas, who has played a bit for us up in the majors, but he was just raking in AAA. and I couldn't. And he had high value, and I didn't really have a spot for him. So, I was cool throwing him in this trade. And Kyle Rosario, who also was hitting well in AAA. But again, I just have too much talent. And Manuel de la Rosa, who I kind of like his makeup quite a bit. But yeah, he was like spare parts. Like he was probably never going to crack my roster in the next couple of years. So we had Danny Jansen. He's played well for us. He was much better in the first couple games, but he plays good defense. He's a leader, pretty good bat. And yeah, we need a catcher. Kevin Alcantara has kind of stepped in for Mason Hour, who was really just not getting the job done up here. I think he had a WRC plus in like the 80s. And Alcantara was crushing AAA, so I called him up, and he's been the platoon guy with Calabrese, and he's destroyed lefties. So he's been huge for us. Love having him on the squad. DJ has not really followed up his great year last year, but still a valuable utility guy, and he's on the books for the rest of the year. So I figured you may as well keep him up here. And David Garcia has regressed since last season's breakout, pretty much out of nowhere, and kind of triggered my move to get Jansen. There weren't a ton of catchers that I could get. I tried to get someone with like really good catcher ability, but they're way too expensive at this point. Like Drew Romo was one of the guys I was looking at, and it would have taken me giving up like a Palencia or a Emmanuel Rodriguez or someone like that, or DiMartini. So decided not to do that. In the rotation and the bullpen, Aaron Nola has had a fantastic season. Making all of his starts, pitching a lot of innings for us. He's been huge. Max Fried has not been the same. Giving up way too many home runs, and generally not pitching deep into games. Something was going on. I don't know what something's going on with this year with the pitches and the pitch counts. Because if we go through his log, like he hasn't thrown over 100 pitches in any of these games, and barely cracked like 80 a bunch of times. So if anyone has a fix to that, and you know anything about that, I tried. Let's see. I went in the settings and decreased the hook for starting pitchers, but I might actually do that a little bit more. But it's weird because Nola is still throwing over 100 pitches most of the time. Although there's like this weird one where he only threw 75 and 5 shutout innings. I don't know. Just strange this year. But Joe Ryan, out of nowhere, finally when I was ready to give up on him, is having a really good season. His FIP's still high, and his strikeout to walk is not great. But, the results have been there, so I'm cool with it. He's been fine. Cole Henry, not as good as he was last year. But, the Sierra's good, and the results are good. So we'll keep rolling with him out there. And we called up Kao Song, who was pitching okay in AAA, but, his ratings are there. So I just figured I'd give him a shot. We didn't really have a fifth starter at the moment, so we threw him in there. He's made a relief appearance in 2 starts so far. Se-Juan Huang, another guy I was ready to give up on. I don't think he made the roster to start the year, but we put him in the bullpen this season, and yeah, he's probably been my best reliever. He's pitched freaking 73 innings, on pace for 115, and I noticed he mostly just comes in when. Like it'd be like Fried who makes a short start, or Joe Ryan, or one of these guys makes a short start, comes in like the 4th inning, 5th inning, and then pitches, and he has 11 wins on the season, and that's pretty much how he's accumulated all of those. Just looking at the game log, so yeah, he's 11-0 with a 2.09 ERA out of the bullpen, and I would consider starting him, but he's been so good there that maybe we'll just wait till next year on that. And the rest of the bullpen's been fantastic. Duran's had a couple blow-up games, giving up, like, his home runs have exponentially increased. Well, not exponentially, but they've increased by 0.6 every year. His BABIP's insane, but he still has a 4.12 ERA, indicating that, even if this BABIP comes down to last year's level, he could be, like, back to being the stud. So I've been rolling with him in the closer's role. Devin Williams has been awesome. Again, another guy who's had a couple blow-ups early in the year. Yeah, like this stretch was pretty bad for him. He had 3 runs in a couple appearances in a row, but overall he's been awesome for us. No doubts on the contract we gave him. Noah Dean, as I expected, has been fantastic since he came over. Walking a ton of guys, but striking out 18 a game, or 18 per 9. So he's been awesome. Cantarino. I don't know if I would have been saying this whole time, but he split time between the majors and minors and pitched insanely well. Hench has had a big bounce back year. Pretty much putting up like the same, the same FIP as last year, essentially, but he's not being killed by this BABIP luck. So yeah, he's been good. And Hernandez missed a little bit of time to start the year, but he picked up where he left off last year. And Hidalgo, another guy, has been fantastic for us. So yeah, I was looking around and trying to find some way I can improve this team, but I've had to make a couple like tough cuts on this lineup and the pitching. Like all these guys are really good and I trust them. So I just didn't feel the need to do anything. Zach Collar also has made up to AAA, and I want to get him in the mix too. So also Denzer Guzman, who I thought was kind of a lost cause at one point, crushed AAA. He's kind of come up, crushed AA, came up to AAA, and also crushed AAA. So that trade, which was the Nick Gordon trade, Nick Gordon's a good player, but that might wind up working out okay for us. So happy with that. Mason Hour, as I mentioned, was not really good. 108 plate appearances and 212 average. 60 WRC plus. Has killed AAA again, so he'll probably get called up when rosters expand. And Austin Martin also, he had a really excellent breakout last year when I called him up. Was not quite the same player this year. He'll be up eventually at some point, but not right now. Not right now. And Connor Phillips, who, he's split time between the rotation and the bullpen, has pitched really well up there, but again, my bullpen's just stacked right now. So when we need an arm, we'll call him up. When he's not up here, then, he'll chill down AAA for a little bit. And I think that's pretty much everyone who's made an impact on the team. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone I flipped at some point, but I think those are the two main trades I made. And yeah, we're at deadline day. Probably not going to make any moves. I don't see any way I can improve this team really. At least like not marginally and giving up the farm. So yeah, let's move forward. As you can see, like our team ranks pretty crazy season. Second in runs scored, first in runs against. And the bullpen, the bullpen and the starters have bounced back after a really bad year. The defense has been incredible. The base running has been improved. We're fifth in stolen bases. A lot of that's Calabrese. And let's look at so most of it's Calabrese and probably Auer a little bit, who's down in the minors. Oh, man, looks like Emmanuel Rodriguez has been caught stealing 10 times. That's not good. Probably tell him to stop running. But yeah, we'll sim ahead a little bit and head into the next stage, probably like the playoffs, and then I don't know what I'm doing this episode, but we'll sim ahead and get back to you guys. Okay, we're back at the end of the regular season here, and we finished 101-61. Not gonna say I threw in the towel at the end of the year, but we were up like so big on everyone, and our division was never close. We wound up finishing the year pretty rough. We were on pace. We could have hit over like 105, like 110 wins maybe at some point. But again, I just didn't want to get anyone hurt. And yeah, so in September, at one point we were 13-2. Wound up really scuffling. I dropped like all my pitchers. No one is throwing more than 90 pitches. That's going to be off now. But yeah, we finished the year like pretty rough, but overall, like this team was insane, and big part in like a lot of our acquisitions that we made. Calabrese missed a bit of time. He went down for about 6 weeks, I think, with a torn quad. Came back, he was his regular self, so that was good. And Danny Jansen, I know I mentioned last time he was like probably like WRC plus in the 80s, high 80s. Yeah, he went on an absolute tear and won 35 WRC plus with us. 13 bombs, 34 ribbies in 63 games, and worth 2 WAR. So that was the pickup of the season probably, because our catchers were god awful. Dave Garcia, he is what he is at this point. He's probably a backup, but good backup, I guess. Sorted by WRC plus, DeMartini turned it on. He finished. This is about what I expected out of him. So about 3 WAR on the year. Really nice season from him. Carlos Correa finished with 6.8. I think he was projected in the mid fives. Looks like his defense, is back to normal in that like post trade deadline stretch. So that was good. Brooks Lee winds up finished with a WRC plus of 125 despite only hitting 5 home runs. It's just a testament to I'm sure he hit a ton of doubles. 40 extra base hits. That'll play, and a 303 average and a 10% walk rate. This is a great player to have. Calabrese, we talked about him. Emmanuel Rodriguez played a bit of center field down the stretch, and he fared really well there, as well as in left. Buxton did go down with an injury. It was initially a day-to-day, where the heck was this? Yeah, he was day-to-day for about a week, I think, and I put him on the IL. He got re-aggravated the injury, so he missed a bit of time, but not too much. I brought him back and was really cautious with him. I was having our play quite a bit of center in his place. DJ, he scuffled. He'll probably be on my postseason roster, but whatever. He's a good guy to have on the team. Shoemake definitely was not as good as he was the previous couple of years for us, but still put about a win in 96 games. And and Palencia, freaking 320. Yeah, what an insane season from him. Basically his rookie, not really his rookie year, but his first full season with us. Absolutely incredible. I'm so happy I locked him up because he's going to be the face of our franchise moving forward, kind of taking the lead on the team as Buxton and Correa get older. On the pitching side, it was business as usual for these guys. Song really scuffled in this little stretch here, but he was good before that, and I don't know if he's going to get a postseason start. I got to see what's going to happen. Maybe he'll follow someone at some point. Maybe like Huang, who winds up finishing 14-1, by the way, if you're into wins and stuff like that. 2 WAR, 2.7 R WAR. Excellent season from him. We paid him $6 million, and I was about to trade him in the offseason, just to free up a little bit of room because I didn't know if a guy who's gonna come up and down is really worth $6 million. But he proved me wrong completely, and 116 innings for him, exclusively out of the bullpen. Really cool stuff there. Max Fried, he was he had a good stretch. Like he was really solid at one point, and kind of fell off at the end of the year. I don't know what I'm gonna do with him yet. We still have him for 2 years at about $20 million. We're paying him. Joe Ryan, really solid this year. 106 ERA plus, about 2 wins. An average pitcher. But that's valuable. 4.6 is a reasonable number, so we'll probably bring him back. Cole Henry, a guy who was really good for us last year, solid for us. 106 ERA plus, but only threw 151 innings due to various reasons. One of them being the pitch thing that I was talking about. Still a good year from him. Duran, as I expected, he really turned things on in the second half. His BABIP was just way too high. It was at 400, and he dropped that down to 330, and the results were there. So good year from him overall. Devin Williams is definitely worth the $16 million. Put up about 2 WAR out of the pen, 2.3 ERA, and an overall stud. Noah Dean, what a trade that was. We flipped Bailey Ober, who pitched really good for Boston. So not surprising, not really surprising at all. But he's what's he gonna make next year? 6.8 for a 31-year-old. Maybe that was a win-win. I don't know. Maybe we'd like to have Ober, but I'm happy with Noah Dean and what he brought to the team. He put up 2 WAR, 2.7 R WAR out of the pen. Cantanario was huge for us. Put up a season with 2.05 ERA. Henches was awesome. Huge bounce back year. Hernandez, this is what we expect out of him at this point. He's been about this mid 2s ERA for all the time he's been up here. Incredibly consistent, not inconsistent. And Hidalgo, absolute stud. Really, the young guys, Cantanario and Hidalgo, even though Cantanario is not that young, but these young guys were huge for us. Connor Phillips came up and made a couple starts, a couple appearances, was pretty solid. And we should talk about Zach Collar as well, who I brought up when rosters expanded, made a start for me, and pitched in 5 games total. Really excellent. Excited to see what he's going to bring to us. And besides that, we had one injury. It was Austin Martin, who I was starting in left field when Buxton went down. And he fractured his foot, of course. So that really sucked. He was starting to really hit well. He got his WRC plus up to 107 in 165 plate appearances. And yeah, he was great, but unfortunately, he's out for 2 more weeks. And I think that's it. Jefferson Morales, he was a guy we kind of had hoped for a couple years ago. And maybe he's just kind of, run his course here in Minnesota as a guy I thought can probably rake for us. And I don't think, Peguero didn't even make it up at any point. Our bullpen our pitching in general was incredibly healthy. The one thing was that Nola went down. After this, he might win Cy Young. I don't know what the league looks like right now, but just as good as he was last year. So awesome season from him. And we're gonna have to set our postseason roster here. Hopefully Nola can make the start. I don't know. Let's sum up to when the games begin here. It'll probably be a couple days. Hopefully Nola is good by then. If not, we're gonna have to, perfect. He healed in that last day, so cool. He might be a little rusty. He hasn't pitched since about 2.5 weeks, probably. So we'll probably roll with him. Probably had a free start game 2. I don't feel great about it, but we'll try to roll with him, and we'll do Ryan and I don't know if I want Cole Henry starting. Quite frankly, I don't really know if I want Joe Ryan starting either. Song probably won't. I don't really trust him at this point. He's too young, and was pretty rough down the stretch for us. So maybe we'll do something. Let's look at the playoff roster. So Carr is not able to be on our postseason roster because he wasn't on it prior to call ups. I don't think he was on our 40-man at the point. That was my mistake. So we're gonna have to work without him for now, unless there's an injury. So we have 12 guys in the lineup, 14 guys on our pitching staff. So I think it'll probably be Connor Phillips who's cut. I like his length, but we have guys who can give us a couple innings if we need it. And Song, I would like to have him on here just as a kind of a mop-up guy. So the reason I do that is I need to get Matt Wallner on the team, although, he was pretty bad in the second half and after the deadline. But he'll make an appearance on the squad. And Alcantara kind of was not as good coming down the stretch. I had him playing a little bit more against righties. That probably exposed him. So I think he'll probably be left off the team, and I think we'll probably roll with this. So Wallner is sliding at DH. As you can see, this is kind of messed up right now. So I'll do this off camera, and then we'll probably jump into the postseason here because why not? All right, so back, and we have our rotation and lineup set for the first series against Cleveland, who finished 84-78. Looks like they won their series against the Yankees to make it over to play us. So they'll run out guys like Shane Bieber, who's not really the pitcher he used to be, J.P. Sears, Tanner Bibby, and Mackenzie Gore, old friend of ours. So yeah, pretty decent lineup. Looks like their pitching isn't quite there, but they got Bo Bichette. Jose Ramirez is still there. Old friend Eduardo Julian, who looks like he's really emerged as a nice player for them. That was a trade we got Zach Wheeler in return and Henches, so maybe a win-win there. Anyway, the rotation looks as follows. We're going to do this. So we'll start with Nolan game 1, obviously. Joe Ryan will be a follower to either Cantanario or Hidalgo. And then we'll go with Fried in game 3. He'll just start. And then Henry will be a follower if we make it to a game 4 with Hidalgo or Cantarino starting that. And our lineups are as follows. A couple of changes here. I moved up DiMartini to the cleanup spot, dropped Rodriguez to the 6 hole, and Brooks Lee in the 7 hole. So Wallner is batting 8th. And then just a little bit different against lefties. You know, Calabrese moves to the 9 hole. I have Brooks Lee leading off, and Jansen moves up to 7. So, with that being said, let's jump into the series. Game 1 in Minnesota against Cleveland, and we win 5-3. And Austin Martins has suffered a setback, probably won't return. That's kind of unfortunate, but not a huge deal. Looks like DJ pinch hit for Wallner. Maybe Wallner got hurt, but he didn't even have a plate appearance. DJ comes in and is our entire offense. Scores, has 4 ribbies. It's like a home run, a 3-run shot. Sorry, grand slam. That's huge in the 2nd inning. Holy crap. So probably the earliest pinch hitter you'll ever see. And game 2, we take game 2. Buxton gets hurt. Unfortunately, he's gonna have to play through that. And his injury proneness is now wrecked. If you're curious on that, he has 2 more years left on the deal. We went 2-1, and looks like a lot of substitutions were made. Brooks Lee has a couple hits, Jansen 2 hits, and it looks like David Garcia is the hero and has a hit. And DiMartini had a bomb, and Joe Ryan pitches really well, and looks like he was not a follower, so I don't know what happened with that, but nonetheless, it works out for us, and we will head to Cleveland up 2-0 in the best of 5. Max Fried will take the ball, and he will be opposed by Shane Bieber. And game 3, we lose 6-3. Looks like the offense wasn't able to do too much. Palencia had a home run, and Rodriguez did in the 9th. Looks like kind of garbage time. Fried gets knocked around quite a bit, and then the bullpen does well. But 6 early runs for Cleveland is enough, and Cole Henry is hurt, but we take game 4. And he goes down for 2 weeks, so that's not good. Our staff, which is already kind of shorthanded, loses another arm. And it looks like Emmanuel Rodriguez was most of our offense here. He had a bases clearing triple, so very cool. Song comes in, 3 1/3 scoreless. And we'll have to replace Cole Henry here, so he'll be out for the next series, I presume. However, that does open up a spot for Cower to come onto the team, and he'll probably start for me, honestly. Probably start. So let's move ahead. We take the best of 5 against Cleveland, 3-1, and we will head to oppose Boston back to Minnesota, where I'll probably have Nolan game 1, maybe Cower in game 2, Fried in game 3, and Joe Ryan in game 4. That doesn't feel right. Let's do that instead. I'm kind of abandoned hope on Max Fried after that first abysmal start, but you know what? Let's do that. Ryan was good. Okay. Let's rock and roll. We will play Boston, who finished 90-72. Looks like their big boppers are Tristan Casas and Eloy Jimenez. Drew Gilbert, also a nice player, but the offense doesn't look too impressive. The pitching, on the other hand, looks pretty good. Grayson Rodriguez found his way to Boston somehow. Looks like a trade with Baltimore for Christian Arroyo. I'm not sure how that happened, but Garrett Whitlock, Brian Bello, and Bailey Ober, old friend of ours. So Rossell Iglesias is their closer. Pretty decent bullpen. I still think we should hopefully make it. So ALCS Game 1 in Minnesota against Boston. Nola on the mound, and we win 3-0. That's huge. So we take the 1-0 series lead. Nola gives us an excellent start. Probably his best in a big spot for us in his career. Looks like offense, it was a couple doubles by Palencia, Wallner, and Correa. And we were able to pick up the 3-0 win. Game 2, it'll be Joe Ryan being opposed by Brian Bello. And in Minnesota, game 2, he wins 7-4. And it looks like there was a couple. Also, I want to, before I forget, extend all of my minor league personnel. This just reminded me to do that. And we win 7-4. So, looks like big games from Palencia, Rodriguez. Looks like he had a 2-run shot, and he's been fantastic in the playoffs. Both seasons he's been up. And, Joe Ryan does a good job, and Hernandez pitches 3 1/3 scoreless, hitless, and Henches to finish it out. So, to Boston for game 3. And I think it'll be Grayson Rodriguez on the mound, opposed by Max Fried. So let's see if Fried can bounce back after the rough start. And it looks like he did enough. 8-2 win against Boston. And Wallner finally coming through with a big hit after a pretty rough year for him. A 3-run shot off of Grayson Rodriguez in the second. It looks like he never looked back after that. Correa also had a home run, Calabrese, and Jansen. Fried, 6 1/3, 2 runs. That's huge. And looks like every starter besides Palencia had a hit. And game 4, looking for the sweep. Zach Cauer making his second career start and first postseason appearance. And it'll be in Boston, and we win 9-3, and we will head to the World Series for the first time in this series. And I don't know the last time the Twins made the postseason, probably like in the 80s or maybe 90s. Or the World Series, probably the 80s or 90s. So Cauer, 7 innings, 1 run, 9 Ks, no walks. That's incredible. And then Song, whatever, he finishes it off. Buxton, 2 hits, 4 ribbies. Looks like he had a grand slam. And a couple more ribbies from like Calabrese and Jansen. So we'll have a nice little break here before the World Series. And we'll wait for our opponent, who looks like it'll be the Atlanta Braves, who have been a stalwart of a team, and they've been pretty constant in the series. Always a good team, and they have a really good rotation here. It looks like so. Yuri Perez, their ace, really nice season for him. Kevin Gossman will start game 1 and also had a nice year. Zach Gallen, absolute stud, and a great year, and Kyle Wright will be their 4-starter. Looks like a pretty decent bullpen. They finished 6th in bullpen ERA and finished 4th in runs scored in the offense. Some familiar names: Michael Harris, Matt Olson, Austin Riley, Vaughn Grisham, but some other guys that, they must have acquired some way. Kyle Schwarber, for example, Austin Meadows, David Fletcher. And looks like we luck out. Spencer Strider went down with an injury, it looks like. Maybe... yeah, right at the end of the regular season. So that's unfortunate for him. We luck out with that. Sean Murphy looks like he's also out, but not really the player he used to be. And Acuna's out for a week. So we really catch a break here in the World Series. We will begin game 1. I don't think I'll make any changes to the roster. We've been killing it, and let's just roll with it. So game 1, it'll be Nola against who did I say? Kevin Gossman. And we take game 1 6-2. Cole Henry is available to come back, but I can't add him to the roster. That's honestly quite fine with me. So it looks like Wallner had another home run, his second in as many games. And a couple ribbies for Brooks Lee, DeMartini, Buxton also have RBIs, Correa 3 hits. And Nola, 7 1/3, 2 runs. He's been incredible this postseason, and Devin Williams closes it out for a 6-2 win. Game 2 in Minnesota, and we lose 7-2. And it looks like the offense wasn't able to do much. It was Joe Ryan giving us an okay performance. That should be acceptable. And then Huang, who had the incredible season, gives up a couple runs in 2 innings, and then Henches kind of, finishes out the game for us in a not so pleasant way. We should add Cole Henry there. Game 3, it'll be Max Fried against his former team, who we acquired 2 seasons ago, and he'll be opposed by Zach Gallen, their best starter this season. That might not actually be true. No, Yuri Perez was their best, but second best in a very good year. So Game 3, we win 7-1. DeMartini, 3 hits. Wow. Yeah, so pretty much, Calabrese, he hasn't had a great postseason, but I feel like he's been good recently. Yeah, he's had a couple good games, so just a rough start for him. Honestly, the offense has been really good, and the pitching has been incredible. Fried, he's had 2 really good starts after the clunker in the first one. Hernandez has continued to dominate this postseason. All he's done is pitch like 3 appearances, over 2 and a third every time, and then Cantenario to finish it out. So it's 2-1. We go in game 4 in Atlanta. Cauer on the mound. We lose 4-2 to tie up the series at 2 apiece. And it looks like Cauer was okay. 4 runs in 6 innings. Hidalgo does a good job, but not able to do anything against Kyle Wright. The offense, kind of forgettable game. Looks like Auer got a start. I don't know what that's all about. Looks like Buxton is hurt. So that's not good. So just to, be able to do this how I want, I'm going to run out this lineup instead. Throw in Shoemake, because I'd rather have him than like Mason Auer starting. And we'll roll with that. Unfortunate that Buxton gets hurt, though. That's a huge loss defensively and offensively for us. So it's 2-2. Nola will be on the mound, a rematch of Game 1. Kevin Gossman on the mound for Atlanta. And this is to take the series lead, and looks like Buxton will be out for the remainder of the postseason. We lose 9-3. Tough game to swallow there. Nola does a good job, and Devin Williams implodes in the 8th inning to seal the game. That's really not good. Wow. Really tough to see there. And we go back to Minnesota, and it will be a elimination game for us. We need to win to stay alive. Buxton will go on the playoff IL, and maybe we'll, I guess we'll add. I don't know. I don't really have anyone here that I want to throw on the team right now. Maybe I'll throw Cole Henry back on. How about that? We'll go with 12 guys, 3 guys on the bench, and it'll be Joe Ryan. Oh boy. Let's see if he can. He's had a couple of rough years. He's had an okay playoff. Actually, quite good. And he will face Yuri Perez in a rematch of Game 2, I think. And here we go to keep our season alive. Game 6, we win 8-1 against Yuri Perez, who is probably the Cy Young favorite. We knock him around quite a bit, and then Nolan McLean comes in, and we hit him too. Joe Ryan does enough, and then the bullpen's incredible again. Brooks Lee, Palencia, Correa all have multi-RBI games. And the offense continues to do well. They've pretty much been boom or bust this postseason. So here we go. Game 7. And I'm taking everyone out. Everyone's available. I don't really care. All hands on deck. Max Fried, the ball is in your court, sir. And, everyone but Joe Ryan and probably Nola are available for this game. So Max Fried, he will face, let's see. I don't know. Good way to check this. Let's go like this. He will face Zach Gallen. A couple of guys on new teams in the last couple of years, and let's go. Game 7 in Minnesota. Twins looking for their first World Series in a long-ass time. Since 1991. So that was a pretty good guess. And let's do it. We win the World Series against the Atlanta Braves. 5-1 victory. What a story for Max Fried, who didn't have the best of seasons this year and had a horrible clunker of a start against Cleveland in the ALDS. Comes out and throws 3 masterful games to end the season. Noah Dean, a couple of innings, and then Devin Williams to close it out and redeem himself finally. Looks like our heroes of the game are Calabrese, who was excellent this series. Brooks Lee, Wallner had a, 2-run double maybe. And Jansen 3 hits. What an acquisition that was. And it looks like our star Adrian Palencia was the World Series MVP. And honestly, couldn't have asked for a better outcome this season, obviously. So that'll be the end of the series. I hope you guys had as much fun with that as I did, because that was great. And we finally get the World Series in 2026. And this offseason will be about defending the title, making improvements where they need it. But honestly, this team looks pretty damn good for the long run. So we built up a good farm. And, the lineup is sick, and maybe just the pitching, maybe we can get a couple more starters in here. But, yeah, thank you for watching episode 9 of the Twins Out of the Park Baseball 26 World Series champions in 2026. And, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.